Okay, hello and good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ryan Embry. I'm the brand ambassador here at Travel Media Group. I want to first thank everyone for taking the time to join me on this webinar today. Very excited to share this presentation with you all. At the end of the webinar, we'll be providing my direct contact information in case you had any follow-up questions with the content that I'm going to be sharing today. You can also use that chat feature, which is located right there in your toolbar. Type any sort of questions or feedback that you might have. We'll be responding to those questions personally following the conclusion of today's webinar. Also, be on the lookout since the presentation will feature an interactive poll and would absolutely love your participation in it. So let's find out what we'll be covering in today's Social Listening 101 webinar. And we're going to start today's presentation by really defining what social media is and talk about why it's so important and critical for hotels. Next, we'll identify the unique ways travelers can interact with hotels on each of the following social platforms. We'll share some tips and best practices on how to respond to these interactions by taking a look at some real-world industry examples. And we'll wrap up today by exploring tools that can make social listening easier and more efficient for hotels. So let's go ahead and get started. And as we begin to really set out to defining what social listening is, the best and easiest way to explain it is really related to things travelers and guests have been doing for decades. For example, sharing a guest or traveler's location. Now, in the past, travelers used to purchase postcards to send to their friends and family, letting them know what destination they were at. Today, travelers can simply share their location via social media, not only revealing their destination to others, but pinpointing their exact location, even down to the specific hotel that they're staying at. So what about reaching out directly to a property? Again, in the past, travelers would have, when they had a question or wanted to reach out to the hotel, they would typically have to pick up their phone and physically call the front desk. Now, a traveler can simply send a direct message or DM via social media and expects almost an immediate response from the property. And finally, a traveler or guest sharing their hotel experience. In the past, travelers relied on word of mouth, telling friends and family about their stay. More recently, guests leaving online reviews on online reputation sites. Today, a traveler can mention and tag your property on social media and tell you how they're experiencing the hotel in real time. So all of these are examples of social interaction between traveler and hotel. Social listening is the act of responding and connecting to your guests via social channels. So let's talk through platform by platform where social listening is happening right now and the type of interactions that can happen between your hotel and your guests. So we'll start with the most popular social media platform out there, Facebook. Users on Facebook have the ability to share their specific location when posting either a picture, video, or just post in general. A user can also mention or tag the property on Facebook, inviting your business to be a part of the conversation that they're sharing online with their followers. So one thing to keep in mind is your hotel's Facebook page name. Now, if you're simply named the Holiday Inn Express, when travelers share their location and tag the property, others seeing that post might not be able to pinpoint which Holiday Express the user is mentioning. So be sure to add more details to your name so other travelers know exactly where and what hotel the user is tagging. Now, if the Facebook user is looking for a more one-on-one interaction with the property, they have the ability to direct message the hotel through Facebook Messenger. Travelers can use this feature to ask hotel questions or submit requests once they're on your property. It's critical to respond to these messages as quickly as possible, since most guests expect an immediate response and the information to them might not be relevant in hours or even minutes later. Users have the ability to comment on different types of content on Facebook. So whether it be your hotel's content, other travelers' content, even things like reviews and recommendations. And if users don't want to comment on a post, they can still react to it. Facebook reactions are unique because unlike most social platforms, users have the ability to react in more than one way. This can become extremely problematic for hotels if guests and travelers react negatively to content posted either by you, the hotel, or another traveler. And finally, sharing content. Facebook users have the ability to share your hotel's content, or with the permission of the other traveler, share their content. Facebook sharing can be extremely beneficial for hotels because it can really exponentially increase the number of travelers' eyes on your content. Let's move on to the next social platform, Instagram. Now, Instagram does have some similarities to its parent company, Facebook, but there are some key differences. Location, for example. Now, if you were to sign into Instagram after this webinar and type in your hotel's address, you would see all of the public Instagram posts shared by guests and travelers at your specific location. Sometimes we uncover that these posts can be from influencers and have thousands of likes. So make sure to keep an eye out for these types of posts. You could use them to your advantage in the future. Although not used as frequently as Facebook, you still have the ability to receive direct messages from your guests and travelers on Instagram. But most likely, the most common interaction you'll be receiving on your hotel's Instagrams are comments and likes. Comments on Instagram tend to be shorter and more positive in nature, since the platform is really used to show users, quote unquote, living their best life, which makes for an excellent space for hotels to advertise and market their properties. Now, the next social platform, Twitter, sometimes doesn't share that feeling of positivity and a filtered life. Instead, it's used more for information and news. On Twitter, users have the ability to comment on posts and even mention and tag your business in a post. They could use this to get your hotel's attention to an issue that they're having on property or a question that they might have regarding your business. Twitter's version of sharing is called retweeting. We see this a lot when important time-sensitive information is being shared by either the hotel or the traveler, and they're trying to increase the visibility of that message. This is an extremely useful tool during things like, for example, a winter storm, a hurricane, or something that every hotel is familiar with now, COVID-19. Twitter users also have the ability to message the property directly, as well as like any of your hotel's content that they find on your feed. So although not the most popular platform, there are a lot of travelers' eyes on Twitter, looking for relevant information and content that's important to them. Whatever you do, do not disregard this social media channel. I'll demonstrate some of the consequences of this later in the webinar in an example. Now, the final platform we're going to discuss today is LinkedIn. During the COVID-19 pandemic, LinkedIn became a vital outlet for our hotels to network with group decision makers and make meaningful connections online. In fact, according to Omnicore data, there are 63 million users in decision-making positions at their company on LinkedIn. So it is more important than ever to engage on this platform. Let's see how we can do that. And the first way to interact with users on LinkedIn is through comments and likes. Similar to Instagram, LinkedIn is mostly a place of positivity where users share and celebrate professional accolades and achievements. So make sure your hotel's content on this platform reflects that in order to maximize the number of comments and likes your property is receiving. LinkedIn also gives you the ability to tag and mention both individual users or businesses themselves. So this can be a huge win for a hotel if your property is ever tagged or mentioned by a group of individuals attending an event hosted by or at the property. And finally, users have the ability to share posts. Make sure your hotel is sharing posts from other local businesses or business associations in the area. We saw a lot of this during the pandemic as some businesses were struggling and in need of this exposure and help. Also, make sure the content you are posting is shareable. Creating a post specifically reaching out to wedding planners and groups could result in a number of shares and big revenue potential. So now that we've seen some of these types of interactions on these platforms, let's walk through some real-world industry examples and see how the hotel used social listening in each of these. And the first example we're going to take a look at is a traveler asking a question via Facebook Messenger. Remember, Facebook Messenger is a form of direct message, so it's a one-on-one conversation versus comments which are made public in the eyes of other travelers. This direct message starts by the traveler inquiring, "Hello, my family and I are looking for a hotel this weekend in your area that is dog-friendly. What is your pet policy?" The hotel, being notified that they have a pending message, responds quickly and promptly. "Good afternoon. Thank you for reaching out. We love our furry friends at the Hotel Paradise. We have a flat $50 pet fee and a weight limit of 75 pounds. You can find more information at thehotelparadise.com/pet policy. Now, we have some availability this weekend on the first floor near the exit to make walks and bathroom breaks more convenient if you're interested." So this type of reply and response is something an AI bot or a templated response they couldn't accomplish. The hotel was quick and thoughtful in its response, actually moving the traveler through a booking journey. So with that, the traveler responds, "That would be perfect. We're also traveling with our parents who need a handicap accessible room. Can we request their room to be close to ours on the first floor?" So just like that, the hotel has secured multiple direct bookings, all by answering a simple message about their pet policy on Facebook. This is 2021. Instead of picking up the phone and calling the property, as travelers have done for decades, they're using these social channels to connect with businesses. And the scary part is, if you aren't there to answer them, your competitor down the road will be, and you will lose out on these bookings. Now let's take a look at another example of social listening in the hotel world. This one comes to us from a guest on Instagram tagging and mentioning the property in a post. The traveler shares details of their incredible stay and pairs it with a beautiful picture of the property posted on their account. Seeing that they're tagged, the hotel is notified in the post and quickly notices the amount of engagement from the guest followers, over 1,000 likes to this one post alone. The property then quickly likes, comments on the post, and direct messages the account to ask if they can share it on the hotel's social media accounts. The shared post gets incredible reach, and the hotel is able to grow its social following, increasing the chances of guest conversion down the line. Now let's look at an example of when the experience shared isn't a positive one. Now this example comes to us from an upset traveler on Twitter, essentially live tweeting his experience. The interaction starts with the traveler tweeting, "We've been at the Hotel Paradise since 12 p.m. and still no update on our room. This is ridiculous. It's been 3 hours and we've still not been able to get into our room. Why is this taking so long? Mad face emoji." Now, before I show you the hotel's response, let's imagine that they didn't respond. How much more upset would this guest be? Could the hotel even win this guest back based on the bad taste they left in regards to check-in? But most importantly, what impression would other travelers have of the property if this request and message went ignored? Now, luckily, that wasn't the case, and this property was on top of their social listening and responded, "Hello, John Smith. We always try to accommodate our guests with an early check-in time. However, in order to ensure the safety of each and every one of our guests, we perform a thorough cleaning and sanitizing process of each guest room prior to a new arrival. If another room becomes available before our 4 p.m. check-in time, we will sure to reach out to you." So in the hotel's response, they were not only able to address the concern of the upset guests, but also able to inform future travelers of their policies and procedures. The traveler replies, "I hope it's quick. We've been waiting here a long time." Now, it's important for the hotel to respond to this last tweet because it shows resolution and follow through on the hotel's part. It might not be as important to the guests you're interacting with since their issue was ultimately resolved, but it does demonstrate to future travelers your willingness to listen to guests, your problem-solving abilities, and level of customer service. So as you can see here, there are some real everyday revenue impacting situations that involve social listening in the hotel industry. But this evolution of social media interaction is not something that just happened overnight. In the late 2000s and early 2010s, the objective for the hotel industry was really just to have an active account on social media. But today in 2020, it's just not enough to have a Facebook page or create an Instagram account out there. Almost every business has one, and consumers expect to find this. So as the decade continued, hoteliers turned their attention to getting more and more followers onto their pages and increasing their online audience and presence. And today, in 2021 and beyond, the objective of hotels should be to engage that audience. You see, I have conversations with hotels that are very excited to show me the incredible numbers of followers on their social pages, sometimes hundreds, sometimes even thousands of travelers. Having a large number of followers on your page is a powerful thing and an impressive feat. But if you aren't engaging and connecting with them, especially when they're reaching out, how will you ever win their booking? And that's what social listening is, an opportunity to connect and engage with your online audience. And the thing is, the more followers you have, the more online noise that creates for your hotel. So the question is, how do we filter through and organize all that noise and use social listening to our advantage, like we saw in the examples? And that's where TMG's OneView feed comes in. This intuitive feed notifies and alerts you as soon as a traveler interacts with the hotel in any of the ways that we talked about today from any of the platforms. You can even engage back to the guest directly from this feed, liking, sharing, and commenting on the post that you see below. So without this feed, you're stuck signing into multiple social platforms, hoping you catch a Facebook message or a tweet at the exact moment someone messages the property. This feed is the ultimate social listening tool. And as we learned today, social interaction is more than just liking a post on Facebook. It's a way to manage your online reputation, like we saw in the Twitter example. It's a customer service tool, like we saw in the Facebook Messenger example. And most importantly, it's a strategy to create more booking opportunities for your hotel, like we saw in the Instagram example. So at this time, I'm going to go ahead and launch our poll to see what hotels or group of hotels would like to learn more about Travel Media Group's social listening tool, OneView, and getting access to your hotel social feed. So I'll go ahead and give everyone a quick opportunity to engage in that poll. I see that we had a lot of people join a little bit late. As always, you can find all of the recordings of our webinars on Travel Media Group's YouTube page, which I'm going to talk about here in just a second. And I will be sharing my direct contact information in case you had any specific questions about today's presentation. We will also be sending out a recording of this as well. So I'll give everyone just a couple more seconds to engage with that poll, asking again if anyone would like access to their hotel's OneView feed and see some of the social listening that we're talking about for your hotel. Awesome. So as promised, here is my direct contact information in case you have any follow-up questions. We are going to be continuing our educational and webinar content next month. I'm very, very excited about this one. This is for our multi-property regional managers, owners, groups out there. We've got some really exciting performance reporting that I'm going to be sharing all about your group's reputation and social media. And lastly, that YouTube page. Not only is it now housing all of our webinars from the past, but also 2 new segments, the TMG Concierge Desk and the TMG 5 and 5. If you're looking for some more insights and educational opportunities, please be sure to visit our YouTube page, like, and subscribe. I want to thank everyone for taking the time to join me and hope you have a fantastic rest of your week. Thanks, everyone.